right. And I see people are jumping in right now, so we'll give everybody just another minute to jump in. All right. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Karen O'Neill, and I'm the Director of Career Services. Also moderating today is Leslie Denard, a Senior Career Advisor on the Career Services team. Welcome to today's webinar titled Federal Resumes and USA Jobs. I have to say that I am super excited about this session, very excited. The information that's being shared with you today can make all the difference in your being considered for a federal position. Before I introduce our speaker, then just a few quick housekeeping items. We are using Zoom and everyone is in listen-only mode. We don't expect to have any technical challenges, but if we do, just bear with us. Any questions you have, then type those in the Q&A section. You'll find that at the bottom of your Zoom webinar panel. And send those anytime through the session. We'll try to answer all of your questions, but if we don't get your questions today, then we'll be doing some follow-up afterwards. And a big thing to know is that this session is being recorded. So let me get to a little bit of an introduction. Our presenter for this webinar, Rudy Muriel, has unique insights on the entire federal hiring process. As a military veteran, Rudy used the USAJobs site to apply for various positions himself. Now he's on the inside as a recruiter for the Department of the Navy. Remember, this session is being recorded, so I encourage you to sit back, listen up, and learn from Rudy's experience and expertise. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our featured presenter today, Rudy. You now have the floor.
Thanks, Karen. Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk a lot today about the federal hiring process, how to apply when you apply through USAJobs. We're also going to cover some information that deals with veterans, maybe some military spouses, and regular U.S. citizens when you apply on USAJobs. So I've been recruiting for the federal government now for 6 years. I started out as a staffer. That's what we call recruiters in the federal government, or HR specialists. A staffer is the person who actually takes in the job orders from various hiring managers across the country. We actually analyze the position description, send it back to the hiring manager for approval, and then we post it on USAJobs, which you will see. Usually we post those jobs for 3 to 15 days if we're looking to hire somebody immediately. Once the position closes, we actually put eyeballs on your resume to see if you meet the minimum qualifications, and we send those to the hiring manager for their review and then to get the call. So what we're going to cover today is lots of information that deals with the USAJobs system. So a lot of this is going to be basic resume writing, basic entry-level information that I want to share with you. So that way, hopefully, we can get you through the three gatekeepers. There's 3 gatekeepers on USAJobs, and the 3 gatekeepers are the system itself, USAJobs. You actually have to meet 2 requirements. Number 1 is eligibility. Is the position open to you? And then number 2, did you score a 90% or above on the assessment questionnaire? If those 2 things happen, then you get to go to the second gatekeeper, which is the HR specialist. The HR specialist will actually put eyeballs on your resume and check to see if you gave us enough information that talks about how your current skills meet the skills that we're looking for. The last gatekeeper is the actual hiring manager. The hiring manager is going to look through your resume to see if you are one of the best qualified candidates to be brought in for an interview. So we're going to cover lots of information. If you look up on the screen, again, searching for job announcements. I'm going to show you the best way to search for job announcements on USAJobs, just because we use a lot of generic job titles. Program manager, management analyst, administrative technical specialist, lots of generic job titles. You're not going to know what the position actually entails till you open up the job announcement. So we're going to talk a little bit about the search features. Creating your profile, very, very important, because what you put into your profile populates over into your application. And if you don't have the correct information, USAJobs system will never let you move forward. So we're going to go through that. Building your federal resume on the USAJobs system is what we prefer. The resume builder on USAJobs is going to force you to give us information and to place information in your resume so we can give you credit for your work experience, your education, and any job training. So we prefer that you use a resume builder because it's going to give us the information that we need. Then we're going to walk through some job announcements. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth from my PowerPoint to an actual live version of USAJobs because I want you to see how the system actually works and what it can do for you. Reading our job announcements, it's pretty scary. There's 3 nuggets hidden in the GS, and the GS is your white-collar workers. So that's your information technology, human resources, engineers, contracting specialists, things like that. And then you have your wage grade, which is your blue-collar workers, welders, pipe fitters, mechanics, truck drivers, things like that. So there is a little difference between the job announcements, and I'm going to show you where the golden nuggets are at so you can actually go in here and tailor and target your resume specifically for what we're looking for. Okay. All right. If there's no questions, we are going to move into how to search for job announcements.
That sounds great. Thank you, Rudy.
Perfect. And screen looks okay? So far, so good. All right. So USAJobs.gov allows you to search 2 different ways. You can search via keywords using a job title, department, or agency, or you can search by location. One of the things that I found out when I transitioned out of the military was I did not do my homework as far as what jobs were available here in Kitsap County, where I live in the Northwest in Washington State. That was my fault. I should have known. But because I was so set on I can only do recruiting, I'm only going to look for recruiter jobs, I looked at the big companies in Seattle, which was Microsoft and Amazon and companies like that. It was right after 9/11. There were no recruiter jobs. We were going through that little mini recession during that time. So when you're searching on USAJobs, find out what's happening in your neck of the woods first before you even start applying. Okay, so search by location. Searching by location is going to give you a lot more bang for your buck because you're looking at all the agencies that posted positions in your area versus trying to determine, oh, is there one with the Department of the Army? Is there one with FEMA, GSA, VA? Who's recruiting in our neck of the woods? So searching by location, I am going to pop out of my PowerPoint and go into a live version of USAJobs. Now, I'm not going to sign in, but you're going to notice that once I do come and sign in, USAJobs, because of the information that I have in my profile, it's automatically going to match jobs for me in areas, and because of the resume that I have in there, it's going to match jobs for me automatically. So I'm not going to sign in when I search for now. Now, when you search by location, the system recognizes cities, states, zip codes, or countries. So if you want to go work overseas, Germany, Korea, Japan, Italy, Spain, all you have to do is type in the country and you'll see jobs that are open to U.S. citizens around the world. So for today, we're just going to use Austin, Texas. And as you can see, the system recognizes city. Okay. Now, I don't remember what county Austin is in. So when I click search, because I did a city, the system is going to do an automatic 25-mile radius search from the city center of Austin. If I did the county that Austin sits in, it's going to keep me within the parameters of that county only, okay? So I'm only going to be able to see the jobs that are available in that county. Right now, we're going to use Austin, okay? And as you can see, there's 195 positions posted right now within the proximity of Austin, Texas. So what happened was the system sorted out the positions by relevance, okay? If you're looking at my screen, it's on an app, so the sort button is down at the very bottom. If you're actually on your computer, it's going to be up here on the top right-hand corner, the sort button will. So what happened, the system sorted these out by relevance. That means all the jobs that are open for 6 months to a year are going to float to the top. Now, I'm not telling you not to apply to these jobs. There's a missing link on these jobs that are open for 6 months to a year, and it's called the assessment link. There is no assessment tied to these. These, we're hoping, as you can see, these are big jumps from GS1 through GS15 or GS5 to GS15. We're hoping to bring in somebody at the lowest level so we can train you up our way. It's very difficult to get through the system on these. Now, on these, once you apply, the HR specialist is going to review your resume right then and there. But if you notice, it says we're not going to give you a notice of results. So this is one of those jobs, the 6 months to a year, this is one of those jobs that your resume does go into that dark hole unless the recruiter calls you and says, hey, we want to bring you in for the interview. So what we want to do here is we want to sort out by open date. USAJobs works on Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. So we are only allowed to post and release jobs and close jobs Monday through Friday, okay? We don't work on the weekends. Sometimes you will see jobs get posted on the weekend, and it's usually from your National Guard or Reserve, which are looking for Title V or Title 10 type positions, okay? So as you can see, look what happened with the system. It actually floated my resumes that are by open date. And as you can see, those that were released this morning at midnight Eastern Standard Time, those are the ones that actually floated to the top. So you'll be able to see those. Now, you want to keep in mind, you want to shoot for the jobs that are open for 3 to 15 days. Those are your most competitive positions. Those are the ones you actually have a better shot at applying for and getting through very competitive compared to some of the others. Okay. When we actually go into reading job announcements, I'm going to show you what to look for in our job announcements. I just wanted to make sure that you understand that searching by location is the best way, and to always make sure to sort out by open date. The system releases these jobs at midnight. So Monday, Sunday night at midnight, you're going to be able to see new jobs being released into your areas or other areas of the country. Okay.
Rudy, when you're talking about doing those searches by city, can you do, we had a question about, can you create a multi-city search if you're open to relocation?
Yes, you can, and that's going to be in your profile. So when we go to the profile section, we're going to be able to you can tell USAJobs, I'm looking for jobs in Dallas, I'm looking for jobs in Germany, and I'm looking for jobs in Korea, and the system will actually match those jobs for you that are available in those areas that you chose. So yes, we're going to cover that because that's very important for us recruiters too.
Thank you.
So we're going to get hot and heavy on in the profile. We're definitely going to talk about these unique hiring paths. Okay. Some of you might only have one. I myself, I have 3 unique hiring paths. This means that these icons that are on the job announcement, these are the only jobs that I can apply to. So I'm a U.S. citizen, so I can apply for jobs that are open to the public. I am a competitive service federal employee, and I am a veteran. So those are the only 3 jobs that I'm eligible to apply for, okay? So eligibility versus qualifications is 2 different animals. Eligibility means, is the job open to you? Okay, are you eligible to apply? Qualifications, we're going to talk about that when we go through the specialized experience statement on our job announcement. So make sure that you choose the correct box, because if not, the system is not going to let you move forward if you try to apply for something that's outside of your unique hiring path. Now, real quick, there's 2 types of veterans. And if you want the trifold, please shoot an email to Karen, and I can get it to Karen that talks about direct hire for veterans. And there's 2 types of veterans. We call VRA, those of you that are 30% or more disabled, or have served in the combat zone. And then VEOA. VEOA is the Veterans Employment Opportunity Act. If you serve 3 years or more active duty with an honorable discharge, you're going to get veterans preference. VRA status veterans, you don't have to apply online. You can actually send your resume directly to a hiring manager or an HR specialist. If there's a position open, then we can do what we call a direct hire, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit more about this when we go into your profile. I just want to talk real quick about recent grads, because I know many of you, while you're transitioning out of the military, you like to go back to school. So recent grads is a very unique hiring path that you want to look at. If you're a regular U.S. citizen, if you received a BA or higher within the last 2 years, you can consider yourself a recent grad. If you are a veteran, if you received a BA or higher within the last 6 years, you can be considered a recent grad, okay? So those are some of the ones that I want to talk about. Individuals with disabilities is another one. I know we don't like to mention that, hey, I have a disability rating, but folks, sometimes we open up positions that are geared directly for individuals with disabilities. We like to spread our wings to everybody out there. And so look for those kinds of jobs. If you're a veteran that has a disability rating of 30% or more, make sure you take your VA letter to your physician, because then your physician can give you what we call a Schedule A letter that will allow you to apply for positions that are open to individuals with disabilities. Okay. So any questions about how to search before we move on to the next segment?
No, I think we're good, Rudy. Thank you.
Okay. So Beverly, just to answer Beverly's question, Beverly, yes, you can be considered as long as you have a letter from your physician stating that you have that disability. Okay. So most division of vocational rehabs around the country, you can get, if you have a counselor, they can actually get you a Schedule A letter too. It doesn't have to be from your family physician. All right, folks, so we're going to talk about the home tab in the USAJobs. Once you log in, you're going to have a home tab, and your home tab allows you to track all the jobs that you've applied to. So anytime you click apply on a USAJobs announcement, it's going to float that job announcement into a holding pattern down here until the job closes. When the job closes, we're going to pull those job announcements from USAJobs. You're not going to have any more access to them. But if you click apply, you're still going to have access to it from down here in your own profile, because it automatically floated it down there. The reason I'm telling you this is because we don't conduct interviews 1 month, 2 months down the road. It's going to be maybe 3 or 4 months down the road. More than likely, by that time, you've applied for 20 other jobs, and now you're finally getting that phone call for the interview for this admin officer position. If you click the little plus sign on here, you're going to see full view. You're going to have access to the full job announcement, to the assessment questionnaire, to the resume that you submitted. So that way you're going to be able to study that before you go to the interview. I can guarantee you that when you go to the interview, if you look at the assessment questions that are inside this job announcement, some of those assessment questions are going to be on the interview, okay? So this is a good way for you to prepare yourself. When we go into the job announcements, I'm going to show you how to pull all that information down. Now, the little black button down on the right-hand corner that says unavailable, that's the status, okay? There's 4 different colors. There's black, yellow, green, and red, and each one of them has a different meaning. I'm going to walk you through those here in a few minutes. The notifications button. You can let USAJobs know, hey, anytime an HR position or an engineer position gets posted in Austin, Texas, shoot me an email. And the system will shoot you an email to let you know, hey, there's engineer position was just posted in Austin. You probably want to go apply for it because it's only open for 3 days. That's the main reason I want you to set up a notifications button, because sometimes we'll open up jobs for only 3 days. And it doesn't mean that we've already chosen somebody. It's more than likely we're going to get over 1,000 resumes. And that means I have to read those 1,000 resumes. So let the system know, hey, I want to look for these kind of jobs in this area. Shoot me an email when these get posted. Okay. You can archive them, you can save jobs, you can save searches. There'll be different folders that you can put them into, okay? And then as you notice up at the top, there's your home tab, profile, documents, and preferences. So we're gonna cover all those here in a few minutes. I'm going to pop out of the PowerPoint, and I'm gonna go straight into, so this time I am going to log in. So see this remove filters? It's gonna take me automatically back to the search or to the main page. I'm gonna go ahead and sign in because I want to walk you through the different color-coded tabs when you apply for positions, and I want you to be able to physically see, especially when when you're searching, I want you to see how generic our job titles are for a lot of the positions that we have posted on USAJobs. So again, here's my home tab. There's 13 applications currently. There's the notifications button, and then here's the color coordination for the buttons, okay? So sometimes these automatically happen based on USAJobs, but a lot of the times the actual HR specialist has to go in there and change the tab themselves just because of what's happening behind the scenes. So we have to manually go in here and change the status if we're not too busy. As you notice, sometimes the recruiters are so busy, they don't have time to go back in there. A selection was made, boom, they moved on with selection because they have probably 3 or 4 other announcements waiting in the queue for them to start building. So unavailable means I clicked apply. I never went back in there and I touched anything on the job announcement, on the assessment. I never uploaded a resume. So and the job announcement closed, the system didn't know what to tell me. So that's why it gave me the unavailable. Referred, the green, there's two green, there's referred and received. Received should come automatically. If you meet the eligibility, is the job open to you, and did you score a 90% or above on the assessment questionnaire, within 30 seconds to 10 minutes, you should be, this status should change to received. That means that you made it through the first gatekeeper. You made it through USAJobs. Now when the position closes, then the recruiter is going to review your resume, okay? As you can see, this has been closed for almost 2 years and it's still in received status. The recruiter probably never went back in there, or they hired somebody, they had a placement, priority placement from a spouse or something. Something happened, but they never went back in. Yes, I can click on this and I can email the recruiter, hey, can you give me a status update? What's going on with this? Was somebody picked? So you can always do that. I'm going to show you where to find that information on your job announcement. Referred. The other green one means that the actual recruiter put eyeballs on my resume after the job announcement closed, and they referred me over to the hiring manager. They put me on a certificate. That certificate contains all the resumes that the recruiter is sending over to the hiring manager. Incomplete, the yellow. Incomplete means I started working on the questionnaire. I just never submitted it. So that's why the system gave me an incomplete. Not referred could mean 2 things. One, I was not referred for an interview. And so I didn't get, sorry, it only means one thing. I didn't get referred for an interview. The recruiter didn't refer me on over. The other red one is not selected. So not selected could mean 2 things. I went to the interview, they didn't select me for the position, or I was not selected, or my resume was sent to the hiring manager, I was just not selected for the interview. Okay. So those are the ones that you're going to see whenever you apply. You should see the status changing on here on a daily basis, or as the recruiters go through the motions. Now, real quick, let me show you why I'm telling you to search by location and then go look at the jobs that are open, okay? So even though this job has been closed for 2 years, like I said, I'm going to click the little plus sign, full job announcement. Let's just say that they finally called me for an interview. Now I'm going to go in here and look, what job is this, okay? Let's look at the job title, Administrative Technical Specialist. Sounds like somebody working behind the desk, making copies, doing notes, paper pusher type position. Okay. When you look at our job announcements, your very stop after you open them up should be under the duties and responsibilities section. The responsibilities section is going to tell you what that job pertains to. Okay, what are you going to be doing? These are the duties of this job. So let's take a look at this. Even though it says administrative technical specialist, let's look at the responsibilities. Collaborating with hiring managers to identify the most effective approach to filling a vacancy. Resolve staffing and recruitment management problems throughout an organization. Advise hiring managers and selecting officials on recruitment strategies. And then advise hiring managers on procedural and regulatory requirements governing the recruitment process. That to me sounds like an HR recruiter position. Nowhere in the job title does this say that this is an HR position. Okay, so again, be careful when you're searching on USAJobs. If you find a job that sounds interesting, like program manager, management analyst, open it up, go down to the duties and responsibilities, and it's going to tell you what you're going to be managing, what you're going to be analyzing. Is it workforce? Is it accounting? Is it financing? There's all different kinds. So right here is going to tell you what that actual job pertains to.
This is great, Rudy. So helpful.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to hop back into the PowerPoint. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about the profile. Okay, so a lot of the information that you put in here is automatically going to populate over into your actual application. Once you build your resume, for those of you who are professionals out there, you're going to notice that your resume looks more like a CV, curriculum vitae, versus just a regular resume. Again, this is a full-blown application, even though we call it a resume. So creating your profile, name and full contact information, folks. We don't care where in the country or around the globe you live, okay? That's not a factor. But you need to have your full address, P.O. box, general delivery. We don't care. It needs to be on there, or if not, we're not even going to look at your resume. It's an incomplete resume, and I'm going to show you some examples. Okay. Professional email address. I know I'm talking to professional people, but believe me, I've been recruiting out here for 20 years, and I still see the derogatory emails. Don't give that hiring manager an excuse not to bring you in. You know, Dirty Dancer, Hot Lip 69, 420, Sativa Kitty. We still see those emails, and we don't even bother sending those resumes to the hiring managers because we know that you're not going to get a phone call for an interview. So be careful with those. Now, one of the big things that we've seen is LinkedIn linked profiles. Okay, remove those. Those actually lead to a picture of you, and in the federal government, we can't have pictures of you on your resume. Okay, so the Air Force recruiters, civilian recruiters, already started weeding people out because they have their LinkedIn links on there. So make sure you remove that from them. The next box down, citizenship. That box asks you, are you a U.S. citizen? Yes or no. Gentlemen, in that same box is the selective service registration. So if you are a male born after 1960, go to the sss.gov website, type in your full name, social security number, and your date of birth. Make sure that you are registered with selective service. That's part of my homework. When I send you a tentative job offer and you accept that tentative job offer, part of my job is to go to the sss.gov website and make sure that you are registered with selective service. If you are not registered with selective service, we are going to retract that job offer, okay? Or we're going to put in a waiver, which could take anywhere from 6 months to 18 months to get that waiver through. If you are somebody that moved to the U.S. After the age of 26 and you never registered for selective service, there's a link to a letter of exemption on the sss.gov website. Make sure you go in there, pull that, give them the information. When they send you the letter saying that you're exempt from selective service, make sure you upload that into the documents section of USAJobs. The unique hiring path, again, we talked about those. We're going to talk a little bit more about them when we go into my profile. I'm going to show you a live version because I want you to see the edit button, just in case you need to add or take away some unique hiring paths. Military service and work experience in this portion, they're asking you for your job title, whatever they called you, your employer name, and then dates that include month and year to month and year. Folks, if you're applying for GS positions, dates is very, very important. You cannot just have years on your resume. We need to have month and year to month and year because we're looking for 1 full year of specialized experience. Okay. Education, we're asking about what is your highest level of formal civilian education attained. Not pursuing, not expected to graduate. Okay. What do you have as of today? The reason we allow you to apply for GS1 through GS11 positions based on education alone. You do not have to have any work experience. Okay. So I'm going to show you some of those. And again, high school diploma, GED, associates, bachelor's, PhD, or doctorate. Okay. What do you have as of today? Demographics, we like to collect those in the federal government. We miss our mark every year when it comes to hiring veterans, mil spouses, and individuals with disabilities. So that would definitely give us some help if you could mention those demographics when you apply. Languages, folks, if you speak a different language, throw it in there, especially if you're looking to go to another country or looking to maybe work for the Census Bureau. They're always looking for somebody to go into different communities that speak different languages. Throw it in there. It's a good incentive for the hiring manager to say, hey, Rudy already speaks that language, let's bring him in for the interview. Organizations and affiliations, who do you play with on the outside? American Legion, VFW, Heroes of the Hometown, anything like that? We like to see how you are out there in the community. References, 3 minimum, 5 max. As soon as you get a tentative job offer, let them know that they're going to get a letter in the mail, an email, or a phone call from an HR specialist in the federal government and tell them to answer and reply immediately. As soon as we get one bad reference back, we're going to cut everything off. Okay? We're just going to move on to the next candidate. And believe me, we have 3 or 4 candidates waiting in line. So I'm going to hop back onto actual USAJobs.
And Rudy, while you're doing that, there are a couple of questions that might be really helpful. One thing I just wanted to clarify real quickly that this is a session for non-veterans as well as veterans. There is an option for U.S. citizens. Rudy showed us at the very beginning. Rudy, you talked about how there are eyes on every single resume, so it's a little bit different than the applicant tracking kind of system that the corporate world uses, but there are all kinds of things that can exclude you. So I feel like that's why what you share with us is so very critical. There was also someone who asked about that they had already submitted a federal resume with their LinkedIn profile. Can they remove that and then be considered for future federal positions?
Yeah, yes. So when you apply online through USAJobs, the system actually takes a snapshot of your resume, okay, and it moves it over. So if the job announcement is still open, you can always go in there and make changes to your resume, to the assessment. Even though there's multiple applications on my site in your profile that you apply for that particular position, if there's multiple entries or multiple resumes in there, we're always going to go look at the very last one that you submitted because more than likely that's the one that you made changes to and it's more up to date to reflect the position that you're currently applying to. So you can always go back and make changes as long as the job announcement is open.
That's perfect. I think it's so helpful for people to remember that there's a big difference between corporate hiring and federal hiring, and today's focus is all about federal. So thank you, Rudy.
And so I just want to answer some questions that I see up on the Patricia Moreno. Is there age limitations? No. That's one of the best things about federal employment. We hire many retirees, on a daily basis. That's one of the coolest things. We just hired a gentleman, 81 years old, to as an admin assistant at the shipyard. So no limitations. 17 years old to If you think you can still work, it doesn't matter. Does Schedule A Schedule A letter have an expiration date? Most of the time, no. It's an open-ended letter. Does the VA letter count instead of from the MD? No. Your VA letter is up at the federal level. Okay, that's only going to give you veteran status and wounded warrior status. And we're going to talk about that because the veterans and wounded warriors on the federal side have two different meanings. Okay, so your VA letter is not going to count because it's a federal. Okay, you need to take it down to a state agency or your family physician to give you the Schedule A letter. Okay. Felicia, would you be considered a recent grad if you completed a course, New Horizons? I don't know what that is. Sorry.
So actually, Rudy, what that is, that's an important one for us. It's if people go through a technical training, would that be considered a recent graduate?
It has to be something that shows BA or higher.
Okay.
Continuing education.
Okay, thank you.
For non-citizens, what should your resume look like, and should we submit ACB? What is the difference? Carla, we're going to talk, when we go through resume building, we're definitely going to talk about that. For non-U.S. citizens, you're probably, the positions for non-U.S. citizens on USAJobs are very limited. And you're going to specifically have to look for those. More than likely, those are like what we call NAF, non-appropriated fund positions. You're not going to, I don't think there's any GS positions for non-citizens unless it's in a different country. And should we not expect a phone call from a recruiter? You'll never get a phone call from a recruiter. The recruiter is going to send your resume to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager is the one who's going to be calling people for interviews. Yes, there is a age limit for some law enforcement and customs. I don't know what that is. You would have to actually speak to them or look at their job announcements. Sorry. All right, folks. So let's move. We're going to move back into a live version of USAJobs. And I'm going to go through the profile, a live profile, in my actual USAJobs account. And I'm going to cover everything that we just went through the PowerPoint. So again, name and full contact information. If at any time you need to make changes to any of those boxes that we just talked about, top right-hand corner is the edit button. U.S. citizen, yes or no, to include, am I registered for selective service for gentlemen born after 1960? And then here's the unique hiring path. Now, again, I can only apply for these three types of job announcements. I got tired of fighting with the VA a long time ago. But let's say the VA came back and said, hey, Rudy, we're going to give you a disability rating. Cool. I take my letter, my VA letter to my physician. My physician gives me a Schedule A letter. So now I can add individuals with disabilities into my unique hiring path. And now I can apply for jobs that are also open to individuals with disabilities. So that's how you add and take away different unique hiring paths. Some of you might be going to school and you're going to fall under that recent grad. So you'll be able to click on that recent grad button as you move along. I just wanted to give you a quick example on how to maneuver in the profile. Work experience, again, if there's any veterans out there, there's two types of veterans. There's what we call VRA, okay? So Veterans Recruitment Appointment. I am not a wounded warrior. I'm just a regular veteran who served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So because I served in a combat zone, that gives me VRA status, okay? That means I get 5 points allotted to me when I apply and I take the assessment questionnaire. So if I score myself a 90% on the assessment, they're going to give me an extra 5 points, which gives me the magic score of 95. Okay. So because I get 5 points because of my veteran's preference, if I was a wounded warrior, 30% or more, I would get allotted 10 points. So if I scored a 90% on the assessment, Those 10 points would be carried over, which would give me the magic score of 100% on the assessment questionnaire. Okay. So we're going to talk about the assessment questionnaire when we go through the job announcements, because you have to score 90% or above on the self-assessment. Okay. Here's my work experience. Here's all the positions that I've held before and during the Army. It's going to be up to you how you build your resume, and when we go building your resume, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. Okay. These little arrows on the right-hand side allow you to move particular jobs up and down on your resume, so that way you can give the recruiter the best resume that shows up at the top how you meet the qualifications for the job. Okay, so it doesn't have to be in chronological order is what I'm getting at. We're going to cover the resume building here, really hot and heavy. Education, highest level of education attained, demographics, languages, organizations, and references. Okay, so that should cover your profile. Now, because of the information that I have in my profile, I'm going to skip over to preferences, which I didn't show you on the PowerPoint. Okay? But the preferences section let us know, are you looking to travel and relocate? Yes or no? Where is your desired work location? Okay, this is very important. Okay, because if it doesn't match, you're applying for jobs in New England, and New England is not a selected location, more than likely that recruiter is not even going to pass your resume on to the hiring manager. Okay, so make sure that you select your desired work locations where you're going to be looking for work. The other cool thing about desired work locations, I am one of 100 recruiters across the country that has access to what we call the agency talent portal. If you make your resume searchable on USAJobs, we can come find you. What that means is we have some direct hire positions where we're going to hop onto USAJobs, do a search in a certain area for certain people, and if your resume meets the qualifications, we're going to pick up the phone and we're going to cold call you or send you an email. Hey, I've got this position available. Is it okay if I send your resume over to the hiring manager? Yes or no? Okay. So make sure that you have this in the right spot. And so see how I have Texas, Washington, Belgium, Germany, Keyport? When I log in, the system is going to do a search for jobs in those areas for me based on the information that I have in here. Okay. You can also let us know what kind of work are you looking for. And we have permanent, temporary, part-time, seasonal, summer work. If you want to go back to school, let us know. If you're willing to accept all, you can just click the all button. Okay, it'll be up to you. Okay, so we covered that. Any questions about the profile before we move forward? Pretty easy peasy.
And so important, Rudy. Thank you very much for covering that level of detail. There is one question. Can reserves get VA reference points?
No, unless you've been deployed.
Okay.
Sorry. I think I see a question up at the top. What is your take on one vacancy advertisement? Are they always a waste of one's time? No, those are the best ones that you have a best shot at. You want to shoot at the jobs that are open for 3 to 15 days, even though there's one vacancy. And we never select an internal candidate. There's no such thing. Okay, I'm going to be your competition when you apply for 7, GS9, GS11. I am going to be competition for you. So when we go through the resume builder, I am going to show you how to make your resume stand out amongst the internal candidates too. Okay. All these positions are only for U.S. citizens or permanent residents could apply. I think, yeah, there's some open to permanent residents too. No, Beverly, you actually have to have a Schedule A letter. There's a specific format, sorry, for Schedule A. All right, folks, let's move into uploading versus building resumes. Okay, so uploading, and again, we see functional style resumes. I know most of you know what a functional style resume is. It shows up all your highlights up here, and then you give me your employers down at the bottom. OPM does not allow us to assume that that experience that you put up here falls under the employers that you mentioned down here. Okay, so functional style resumes are not going to work when you apply for federal positions. We need to have a resume, chronological resume. It does not have to be in chronological order. Okay, I know that uploading a resume is going to save you a lot of time. It's much easier, and in the personalized format that includes lots of bullets. Okay, bullets really don't give us enough information when we're trying to decipher what you're trying to tell us on this end. It always works better if you break it down in little mini paragraphs and tell me, these were my admin duties, these were my office duties, and these were my actual duties or responsibilities, okay? But break it down like that because it gives us more meaning than you trying to explain your duties in bullet statements, okay? Save those for the regular civilians that want a 1 or 2 page resume. On the federal side of the house, we don't care how long your resume is, okay? But I'm going to show you how to tailor one specifically, even though if you have a 10, 15 page resume. Building your resume on USAJobs is very time consuming. And the reason is because we want detailed information. How did you do the job? Why did you do the job? And then what were the results of you doing that portion of the job? Again, standard format, we prefer that you use the resume builder because the resume builder is going to force you to give us information that we need on this side of the house to give you credit for, again, experience, job training, and education. So when you build a resume on USAJobs, the system holds up to 5 different resumes if you want to build 5 different resumes, okay? I suggest build one master resume and put it in your holding pattern here, okay? So I am going to go back into USAJobs, and we're going to go into the document section. And again, it's the same 3 resumes that you saw on the PowerPoint, okay? The 2 on the outside are actually built on USAJobs, and this one is actually uploaded, and it's in a Word document. I call it a bad resume because it's a functional style resume, and we still tend to see a lot of these. When people tend to upload their resumes, they're like, oh, I already built my contact information into the profile. It's going to populate. Whatever documents you upload into USAJobs, nothing from USAJobs is going to populate onto those documents, okay? So when people upload resumes, they don't even put their contact information in there because they are assuming that it's going to populate from USAJobs. No, it's not. So no contact information, don't bother looking at that resume, okay? You just made my life easier. So be aware of that. Now, I was telling you, I would suggest build a master resume. Go back as far as you have work experience. That's going to be up to you, okay? The minimum is going to be to go back. And again, it's up to you. You're going to see on mine actually goes back almost 30 years because I'm using experience from back in the day to apply for positions today because I want more money, okay? I want them to consider that experience too. Yes, you can negotiate your salary with the federal government, and we're going to cover that when we go through the actual class or through job announcements. So I just wanted to show you when you click upload or build a resume on USAJobs, it's going to ask you, do you want to upload or build? And when you build, it's going to ask you right away to name that resume. So that way you don't lose it, okay? So I'm going to hop back onto the PowerPoint. And the first thing that you should see when you start building your resume is going to ask you for your employer information. What is your most current position? Okay. Employer name. What is your formal job title? Okay. We don't care what your job title is. Whatever they called you in the military, whatever they called you in your past employer, that's what they called you. Okay. We don't pay attention to job titles. The only time we pay attention to job titles is when you're already inside the federal government because you're holding a specific what we call billet. Okay, that's the only time we're going to pay attention to job titles. Your employer address, city, state, postal code, start date that includes month and year, and end date month and year. Salary is optional. Okay. I am going to tell you the Department of Interior, which is the Security Department, their HR specialists want salary in there, and you're going to see it on their job announcements. They're requesting that. As an HR specialist, I know what they're using it for. Just be careful. Any Department of Defense position, we don't care about your current salary unless you want to negotiate your salary with us. Okay. Average hours per week, very important. We're going to give you credit for your full-time work, part-time work, and any volunteer work. As long as you add in your average hours per work here, we're going to give you credit for that work. Okay. May we contact your supervisor, yes or no? It's okay for you to say no. It's not going to stop the flow of your application moving forward. Okay. Once you finish filling in your employer's name or employer's information, look at what it says down here. It says duties, related skills, and accomplishments. Folks, unlike the civilian sector, I need you to brag about yourselves. Okay. You need to put your resume up on that pedestal. You can't be shy. You can't be humble, because everybody else is putting their resumes up there. And you're going to see it on mine. You need to brag about yourself. One of the hardest things for us to do, especially if you've been out there already applying, Rudy, how do you expect me to brag about myself? I'm going to show you here real quick. Okay. So the next page, this is my old resume. This is what I started out with when I first started applying for federal positions. Okay. Again, big paragraphs, lots of information. And what I did was I encompassed all my 15 years of my military service into one entry. Why? Because my job in the military, from military base to military base, was the same thing. It never changed. I was a forward observer. I lazed targets for the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, and I had them drop bombs and stuff onto the enemy. There's no jobs in the civilian world for me to do that. Luckily, the Army made me a recruiter, picked me up to be a recruiter. And so I held two different jobs while I was in the military. I was a field recruiter and a forward observer. Okay. My employer never changed, so that's why I encompassed everything into one entry. My last duty station was in Crystal Lake, Illinois. I served in the Army from March 87 to August 2002. My last 5 years, and here in a few minutes, you're going to see this is updated. I actually added the years in here in parentheses so they could see that as a field recruiter, I spent 5 years. As a forward observer, it was 10 years. Okay. And there's a reason I still have this here. Even though it pertains nothing to what I do in the civilian world, I still have that there for a reason, and I'm going to tell you here in a few minutes. Okay. My accomplishments down at the bottom. I am going to brag about myself every single entry that I have experienced. Okay. Now, once you finish filling in your employer information or all your work history, education. Okay. Highest level of education attained. I just read something this morning that says that if you're expected to graduate within the next 9 months, you can put it on there and apply as if you already had that degree. Okay. Now, do not upload your degrees up into USAJobs. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. We're looking for your unofficial transcripts. Okay. Education, job-related training. For now, while you're building this, I would suggest grab any job-related training that you have, even if it's expired. Any certifications, trainings that you've gone to, even though they're expired, throw them in there, okay, for now. And I'm going to explain that when we go through the actual live resume. Language skills, organizations and affiliations. If you have that PhD or that doctorate, any professional publications. And then additional information is your catch-all. If the job announcement states that you must be able to type 40 words per minute, add in there, I can type 40 words per minute. Must be able to use Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Office Suite. I know how to use Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Office Suite. And if you paid attention to what I just said, okay, I started both of those statements with I. It's okay for you to use personal pronouns when you're writing your federal resume. We want you to own it. These were my duties. This was my job. It's okay for you to use personal pronouns, because in the civilian world, it's all about teamwork. In here, it's what are you going to do for us? You specifically. Okay. What skills do you bring that are going to help us? Okay. So again, a little bit different from the regular civilian sector when you're writing your resumes. Okay. So we're going to jump out. We're going to go back into USAJobs, and I'm going to show you. So this is my live resume that I currently use. Okay. And the reason I'm telling you to build a big resume like this. So this is my master resume. It's about 5 pages, maybe 6 pages long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to work my way back up from the PowerPoint. So that way, at least you still have that fresh in your mind. Additional information. Okay. My references, affiliations, who do I play with on the outside? Look at my job-related training books. Yeah, I have lots of other military job-related training as far as leadership schools and things like that. I'm not applying for those kinds of jobs. I'm applying for HR positions. So all my job-related training has to do with recruiting or HR. Okay? And even though my certificates are expired, guess what? On the federal side of the house, we don't care what you got in the civilian sector. We're going to send you to our schools internally. If we want you to get some kind of certification, the WIA, things like that, we're going to send you to our schools on our time and on our time. So this is what I was saying. Maybe you might have some certifications that are expired from the regular civilian world, and if you put them on there, that'll catch the hiring manager's attention. Hey, Rudy already went through that training. You know what? He's not going to have an issue passing it. I'm going to pay for it. It's going to be on my time. You know what? Let's send him back to the school so he can get recertified. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Education, highest level attained. Look at what I did with my coursework. Okay. I gave them the hardcore subjects that pertain to HR. I left English 101 and Math 99 off. Those are gimme subjects. But I gave them the hardcore subjects so they can see that my education has some hardcore subjects pertaining to HR in there. Okay. And like I said, I did update my military information on here. So as you can see, I still encompassed all my military time into one entry, but I broke it down on the inside. These were as a field recruiter from that time to that time, and those are my duties. As a trainer from that time to that time, board observer from that time to that time, and then again, my accomplishments down at the bottom. So this has nothing to do with any civilian job. Okay. But why do I still have it on my resume? Okay. It doesn't make sense. But I don't know who's reading my resume on the other side when I'm emailing it or when I'm applying online. What am I trying to do by leaving that on there? I'm trying to connect. I'm networking with the other person on the other end. Might be another veteran, might be a regular civilian who's interested in learning what, hey, Rudy's job in the Army was really cool. I want to meet this guy. I don't know. But that's why I didn't go into full meal detail. I just gave them a snippet of what my job entailed because it is a very interesting job. I think it was one of the best jobs in the military that we had. And so, again, I don't know who's reading it. I'm trying to connect with the person on the other end. I'm trying to paint a picture of who Rudy is. And painting the picture in words is one of the hardest things. So remember, your resume is an artwork in progress. It's not chiseled in stone. It's always going to change. It's always going to evolve into something bigger, something better. As you continue to read some of our job announcements, you're going to be like, I should add that to my resume. That sounds pretty cool. Okay. So again, my military time. My first job out of the military was a case manager for homeless men. Okay. I told you I got out right after 9/11. There were no recruiter jobs. Everybody was laying people off. So I had to back up and regroup, and I took a class at the Americans Job Center or WorkSource, the employment office. It was a class called Skills and Abilities. And it showed me how to transfer my current skills into other types of jobs. And I never even thought about this. So how do I go from being a combat soldier to a case manager for homeless men with an associate's in technology? Okay. So part of my job in the Army as a sergeant was to counsel my soldiers on drugs and alcohol, finances, performance of duties, their daily work schedules, things like that. So all I did was I took that information and I flipped it over into what the job announcement was looking for and targeted my resume specifically, got the interview. Boom, I've done this before. So social work really doesn't pay a lot of money. So that was my night job. As you can see, it was a part-time position. And then by day, I worked as a youth counselor, working with at-risk youth, teens coming out of juvie, teen parents, things like that. Alexa, stop. So I was able to, because I worked as a recruiter in Chicago, I was able to relate my skills to that kind of job too, counseling youth on work, finances, and things like that. So that's what helped me get that job. Even though, again, my main focus is I'm looking for a recruiter job. I never stopped looking. I never stopped applying. As the economy picked back up, finally in 2006, I got a phone call from Group Health. I recruited all the physicians. So actually, I went to my interview. And folks, I'm going to talk about this when you go to the federal interview. You need to interview them too. Okay? Don't just go in there, answer their questions, say, call it good. You need to take at least 4 or 5 questions with you, and you need to interview them. Watch them squirm in their seats just like they watch you squirm in your seats for the last 20, 30 minutes. Okay? And ask them some good, hard questions. Is there room for me to grow? Is there promotion potential? How am I going to be evaluated, in order for me to move up in this organization or this company? So when I went to interview with Group Health, I applied for the recruiter position, a recruiter coordinator, and that's what they offered me, a recruiter coordinator position. But because of me interviewing them, I knew that there was room to grow, that there was going to be some recruiter positions opening up. And sure enough, within 4 months, they're like, Rudy, we're going to make you a physician recruiter. You're already hitting the ground running. Let's go with it. So look at how much detailed information I put in when it came to recruiting. My responsibilities, my actions, how I did it, and then my results of doing my job, and then any accomplishments down at the bottom. Okay. Again, I am going to brag about myself throughout my resume. I came and recruited here in Kitsap County in 2008. The hospital made me a job offer I couldn't refuse. August came around, the big recession hit, and boom, we all got laid off. And so I came to work for Washington State as a workforce counselor. So I started out as a workforce specialist too in January of 2009. By the end of the year, I already had been promoted to the lead workforce specialist for. There's my duties right there as the lead specialist from that time to that time. I was the trainer facilitator, so I did a lot of the job hunter classes to include USAJobs from that time to that time. Customer support, because I had to sit at the front desk and interact with people as they're coming into our office. What are they looking for? How can I help them? And then any awards down at the bottom. Spent 6 years there. I finally got a phone call from the federal government. And because I am VRA eligible, that means I don't have to apply online, even though I have been applying online for 14 years. I got a phone call because I sent my resume to somebody that I had met along with my DD-214. They're like, hey, Rudy, we're going to bring you in for an interview. Cool. Finally got that interview. So I was able to interview at what we call the Operations Center. So the Department of the Navy is set up a little bit different from all the other federal agencies, where we actually have operation centers throughout the country. We have 5. And at each operation center, we have about 250 to 300 recruiters taking in job orders Monday to Friday. That's all we do. And we post them on USAJobs, close them, earphones on, play, listening to music, reviewing resumes. Okay? So I started out as a staffer. So I went through the training program on what HR specialists do on the federal side of the house. Great training. Okay, in-house, get paid as a GS7. So I did that for about 18 months. My region was Washington, D.C. I recruited for NCIS and all the admin support in Washington, D.C. So, I went straight to the top. So I did that for 18 months. Pay setting, classifications, setting up job announcements, reviewing resumes, boom, 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 all that fun stuff. A couple of months later, an HR specialist for a Wounded Warrior advisor position came open. I applied for it, boom. So now I was helping Wounded Warriors understand the process of how to apply for federal positions. Then in 2017, our shipyard, Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, and our submarine base, which is Trident Refit Facility, got a divorce. And so they're like, hey, Rudy, we need a recruiter to come recruit for both commands. Would you like to be our recruiter? Sure, not a problem. I'll take it. So I've only been working for the Department of Navy for 6 years. I'm actually celebrating my 6-year anniversary now. And I'm already a GS-12. I've held 4 different job titles. So again, lots of room to grow as long as you get you into the right space. Okay. So again, very extensive resume. Okay. Long, boom, boom. I use this to apply for all my jobs. Do not print out your resume from here. It'll come up really squished. What you want to do is you actually want to use your scroller to highlight and then copy and paste onto a Word document or to a PDF if you're going to a direct hire event, which we do hold. Direct hire means that we're going to take a couple of federal recruiters out in the community. We're going to set up shop and we're going to interview people right there in your face. Bring your resume with you. Okay. So again, don't print it out from here. It'll come out in a font of 9, very squished up. Highlight it. Do not click Control Copy, Control Victor. Okay. It's going to capture this background of USAJobs. And when you go and paste it onto your document, it's going to paste your resume and then it'll paste the background of USAJobs. You actually have to go in here and use your cursor and highlight and scroll down, then copy and paste. Now, go ahead. Any questions?
I love, Rudy, this level of detail is just huge. Like just that tip on how to copy things well is great. There's one question I feel like that's real good to ask right here, and that's a question around gaps in employment, whether it's unemployment or something happened when you're talking about chronological resumes, which we encourage our students to do actually on the corporate side too. But can you address how those gaps should be handled in a federal resume?
Yes. And so on your resume, your gaps, let us know what happened. Were you in school? I was a student. Were you at stay-at-home parent? I was a stay-at-home parent. I was unemployed and I was taking classes. Let us know what happened. If it's 6 months or more of your gap, within those 10 years, let us know what was happening. I was a student. I was unemployed. I was a stay-at-home parent. Okay. It's not going to cause any concern on our side of the house. Where it's going to cause a concern is when you go and fill out your security clearance. Okay. So even though your resume is being submitted to HR, when you go and fill out your security clearance, they're going to want to know for the last 10 years, where have you worked? Okay. Even though your resume is not in chronological order or it's bounced here, there's gaps in work history. The reason I'm telling you to build a master resume, it's because it's going to help you when you go and fill out that security clearance. But when you send it to us, to HR, it's okay for you to have gaps in your work history. We're only looking for 1 full year of specialized experience. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And I'm going to cover some information here. If there's any more questions, Karen.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I think it's really cool how you talked about the forward observation and how your point was to network. And one of our participants here actually did that same kind of job. So
Nice.
It makes your point very well.
Cool. Well, yeah. And I'm just trying to connect because, again, given the new technology, emailing, online applications, we don't know who's reading our resumes. Before I left Chicago, and I was applying for positions in Microsoft, we had just gotten brand new laptops. The Army was switching over from recruiting with flyers to recruiting, via laptops. I had just gotten my laptop. I was applying for Microsoft. And my aunt was Bill Gates' nanny. So I was putting that in my cover letters, and she didn't even know that I was using her, trying to get my foot in the door. It never worked. But again, what I put into my resume really caught people's attention, and that's how I learned, oh, this is a great networking tool.
Yes, works well.
All right, so let's go back. So folks, I'm going to go back into the resumes. And I'm going to go back into my master resume because I'm going to show you some tricks. Okay. Now that I've built my master resume, okay, and I'm going to give you some homework here before I let you go. Okay, we're going to talk about something. Because I built a master resume, all I have to do is click duplicate. it's going to make a copy of that master resume. Now I can go in here and click edit and make changes inside my elements of where I have all my jobs. Okay, now look at this. This is going to be really cool. Let's say I saw a job on USAJobs with a VA working with homeless veterans. Okay, do I have that experience? Yes, I do. I have that experience down here working with Catholic Community Services. Okay, so remember I told you I was going to talk about these little arrows? I'm going to move that work experience all the way to the top, or as far to the top as I can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all the jobs that had nothing to do with case management. Okay. So I'm actually shrinking up my resume to make it easier for the recruiter on this end, okay, to be able to decipher, read my resume, and be able to immediately identify where my counseling experience is working with homeless veterans. So here's my copy, the one that I made changes to. I'm going to go in here and click view and look at what I did. Even though it's not in chronological order, when the recruiter opens up my resume, boom, right up at the top, I put my case management, program manager skills, and that recruiter is going to be able to identify Rudy meets qualifications for the job. Boom, let's move them forward. They don't even have to look past, into all this other fun stuff, because they already identified that I have 1 year of experience right here working with homeless veterans. Okay, that's why I'm telling you it's much easier. Build one big master resume. If you have multiple resumes in the system, when you go click apply, USAJobs is going to ask you, which resume do you want to use? Okay, once you're done, boom, delete it, because you use that resume for that one particular job announcement, and you're back to normal. Okay, so build one big master resume is really going to help you. Now, before you start, let's go do some homework. Okay, go open up a Word document or a PDF, type out all the job titles that you've held. Okay, start with the most recent and then work your way back. Go to this website called www.onettonline, and it's .org. Okay, in the middle of the page, it's going to give you an occupation search. I'm going to use accountant because my PowerPoint has an accountant in it, and I want to show you what ONET Online can do for you. Okay, and then how the information you take off ONET Online actually bounces with the information that we have on our job announcements. Okay, so I'm going to do accounting, and again, this is just a job title. It's going to come up with multiple job titles. You might have to look in 1, 2, 3, or 4 to gather up enough information. Okay, so there's my accountant. I'm going to scroll down to where it says tasks, and I'm going to click that little plus sign. Okay. What you do is you want to take all these tasks, copy and paste them onto a Word document, excuse me, and then you're going to go bullet by bullet. Keep the ones that were a part of your job or that you did that portion. Delete the ones that that you didn't do. Okay. Then what you want to do once you've gathered them, okay, go bullet by bullet and either combine them into little mini paragraphs, or put them together into little bullets where they belong. You want to part these out into different. These were my duties, admin. These were my accounting duties. These were my computer duties. Okay. To break it down for you, it's not going to break it down for you. You're going to have to do it your own, because this is going to be a lot of reading. Okay. Now, once you've gathered up the information, you want to personalize these statements. Hey, sorry. You're going to want to personalize these statements. Remember I told you a couple of minutes ago, it's okay for you to use I, my, personal pronoun. So what we want to do here, and I'm going to use the first bullet statement as a sample. Okay. Part of my job while working with the U.S. Army was to develop, maintain, and analyze budgets, I also prepared periodic reports to compare those to budget costs and actual costs. See how easy I took that bullet statement, took it and added the I's and my's in there, and I made it my own statement. ONET Online is going to help you come up with a very, very good descriptive task that you can add to your resume when you're first building your resume to come up with some really good ideas on what to put in there, okay? This is going to be very, very descriptive, detailed task of what your job entails, okay? So use that. That's going to be part of your homework. Before you even start applying for jobs, go do this, build your resume, and then when we go into the job analysis, I'll show you how to actually target those, target all the information that you gathered and how to use our job analysis to help you target. All right, before I move on to these other documents, Karen, do we have any questions?
There are a number of questions. They're not specific to right where you are right now, and so it'd be fine if you get to them at the end or either way.
Yeah, so I see that there's a couple up on the screen. So Cedric King, are there any points for spouses of veterans? No. The only time a spouse is going to get the points that should be allotted to a veteran is number one, your veteran is deceased, your spouse is deceased, and you have a VA letter, or the veteran is deemed 100% 100% disabled and unemployable from the VA. So that's the only time you're going to be allotted that veteran's points instead of the veteran. Rosa, if we are serving as an AmeriCorps Vista member, we could use that as a job. Yes, and yes, you can use volunteer. Yes, you can use that. Now, remember, AmeriCorps and Vista members, you also have a unique hiring path that you can add to your profile. So don't forget that it's at the very bottom, AmeriCorps Vista members. How far on work history should be documented? Again, 10 years is the minimum you want to go back, and that's the minimum that we will accept, 10 years. Chris, if you were associated with a billet, civilian but had clearance. I don't understand your question, Chris. Hilda, should we still list coursework if degree studies are not in the same industry as real world experience? We still list course. You don't. You can, but again, if you're going to be applying based on education, we're going to have your transcripts, unofficial transcript. Dave, if I am VRA qualified, but I applied online all this time, is that the same as I went straight to the recruiter? No, it's not. It's two different. So when you apply online, you're applying online, you have to let it run its course. Direct hire is actually speaking with an actual hiring manager or recruiter that's presenting your resume directly to HR. Sergio, do we need to use past tense? It's up to you how you want to do it. You can use it past tense, present, it really doesn't matter. It's just, did you do the job, yes or no? Dave, but what if you delete jobs and make big gaps? Do I do deleted jobs at bottom in bullets?
I think this may have been in reference to when you were showing how you were putting the relevant information at the very top of the resume. So those jobs, you would still leave the rest of the work history. You're just highlighting the one at the very top, correct?
Correct. But I deleted the positions from the copy of my resume. I deleted the positions that had to do with case management. Okay. And that's okay because it's just a copy. It's just a copy of my resume. Delete them from my original.
So in that case, though, like your experience that you had as a counselor was not for like a 10-year period or anything like that. And that's okay?
No. Yeah, because remember, we're only looking for 1 full year of specialized experience.
Okay.
Your resume, you only have to have 2 years, you don't have to show 10 years of work experience.
Okay.
If you only have 5, if you only have 2, that's your work experience.
So it's
Felicia,
it's the work experience that's relevant for that position.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I deleted the ones that had nothing. I don't want to confuse the recruiter over here.
Okay.
So that's why I moved that job up to the top, so that way they don't have to go through the rest of it.
Perfect.
Felicia, it's usually around a GS5. Under education, if you have a master's, do I need? Oh, that one got deleted. Sorry. Oh no. If I have a master's, do I need to include bachelor's on my resume? To you, Carla. If it's too different, your business administration and your master's in, you can list both of them. If it's too different. If I accept one of the jobs I was referred for 2 months later and offered that I was applying for, yes, you can. Remember, you're on probation for almost 2 years. So you're able to move around, do whatever you want within those 2 years. Once your probation is done, boom, you're set at that GS scale. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we go into. Okay, cool. Yes, Rosa, if I was only on one job for 6 months and another for 6 months, yes, that will equal 1 year. You can use that. Okay. Cool beans. All right, folks. So look, once you've finished doing your resumes, in the document section, the other tab, that's where you actually, I guess I have to share my screen, right? The other tab is where you actually upload supporting documentation. Okay. Do not upload your degrees. Do not upload letters of reference, awards, special things. We don't even look at that stuff. Okay. The only thing that we look for in the document section is if you're applying as a veteran, then I am going to look for your DD-214. If your DD-214 is not in there, we're not even going to look at your resume. Okay, no supporting documentation. Sorry, we're going to move on to the next one. SF-15. If you are a wounded warrior, 30% or more disabled veteran, you can upload your SF-15. Doesn't need to be signed by anybody. It's just checking the boxes. Okay, you can Google it too. Excuse me. Or your VA letter that has your contact information and then your rating, not the one that has the monetary value. You got 10% for this, 30% for that. Just the one that has your contact information, your name, full contact information, and your rating. You are 30%, 40%, 50%, whatever. Okay. SF-50, do not panic. That's for current federal employees. Remember I told you at the beginning of the class, we are your biggest competition. Okay. So if you see when you apply, you must upload your SF-50. Don't panic. That's for current federal employees. Okay. OF-306. If you're applying for anything in law enforcement, this needs to be uploaded front right now. Okay. Air marshals, Border Patrol, Customs, NCIS, anything that has to do with police, this needs to be front loaded. This is your declaration for federal employment. For everybody else, all the other federal agencies, when we make you a tentative job offer and you accept that tentative job offer, we'll send you the 306. Okay. Look, it says transcripts, unofficial transcripts. Okay. Because if you're applying for maybe some of the contractor positions or engineer positions that require a degree, we want to look at the courses that you took, not the degree itself. It's going to be on your transcripts. You earned an engineering degree. You earned an accounting degree. Okay. But if you're applying for a contracting, we need to see 24 hours in business administration. So that's why we actually look at your transcripts versus looking at your degree. The only other two things that should be loaded in here is going to be your Schedule A letter if you're an individual with disabilities, and your cover letter if you're going to use a cover letter. The recruiters don't read it, but if you submit a cover letter, we're going to send it to the hiring manager. Now, keep your cover letter short and simple. Okay, the KISS rule really applies on here. Introduce yourself, first sentence. Hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm applying for this position. bullet number 2 or sentence number 2. If you look at my resume between 1999 and 2005 is where you're going to see that I meet the qualifications for your position. Bullet statement number 3, thank you for the consideration, I'm out. That's it. Keep it short and simple. Okay?
Rudy, before you run
yes,
on, there's 2 other questions around this. Somebody's asking about if this is where they would put their NCE in the other documents.
Their what?
NCE?
What's that? What's NCE?
I'm not familiar with it either. I thought you might be. But we'll get non-competitive eligibility. I don't know about
non-competitive eligibility. Yeah, Rosa, I don't know what you're trying to mean by that. Sorry.
And then there's one other question. Oh, she's saying the one through AmeriCorps.
Oh, it's not it's competitive. So there's no such thing as non-competitive eligibility for AmeriCorps. It's a unique hiring path that you're going to see under the unique hiring paths in your profile. That's the box that you can check. Just like I get to check veteran status, you get to check AmeriCorps status. Perfect. There should be down there AmeriCorps Peace Corps, things like that.
And then there's one other question that one of our instructors brought up on the DD 214. He was saying that there's 2 different versions of that, and that it's important to have the DD 214 that has the reenlistment code on it.
No, it's not the reenlistment code. So you want the DD 214, and there is 2 DD 214s. There's 1, and there's a member 4. We want to upload the member 4 because the member 4 has at the very bottom, has your character of service, where you honorably discharged, big chicken dinner, things like that. So you include member 4.
Use the, okay. Thank you.
Yep. How long does it take process from referred stage to interview stage? Could be anywhere from 2 to 6 months. It all depends on the agency. Okay. I have another question. I have a BS non-business and an MBA and certificate in contracts management. So the BS, no, you can leave it on there. I would definitely suggest leave it on there. Sorry. All right. So document section, folks. Don't fill this up with all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now, real quick, Rudy, you had me list all those awards, all those certificates, training, all this things that I went to. How is the hiring manager supposed to know that I actually have these certificates or these awards? Okay. So remember, when you go to the interview, it's going to be a panel interview. There's going to be 2, 3, maybe 4 people sitting on a panel. When you walk in, bring your I Love Me book with you. Okay. Your portfolio. Your portfolio should contain all those awards, all those pats on the back, all those letters of reference, your DD 214, anything that you mentioned in your resume. Remember, I told you on your resume you have your work experience, and then at the very bottom you have those accomplishments. Folks, brag about yourselves. Put yourself up on that pedestal. Your resume is already up there because you painted that picture of how great of a person you are. Bring this portfolio with you to your interview. Give it to the person on the far left-hand side. They have your resume right there in front of them. They're going to be able to bounce this portfolio off your resume and see, things about yourself into that resume. Okay. Again, you can't be shy. We're interviewing anywhere from 50 to 100 people. What's going to make you stand out from all those, the rest of those people? Okay. Can't be shy. I'm going to stop harping on that. All right. So make sure you take a portfolio with you so you can share that with the interviewers, and let them know, hey, I brought my portfolio to show you that, these are all my accomplishments. All right, so we're going to move. Before we move, I want to see if there's any questions about, so we're going to go into the last portion here on how to read our job announcements. Any questions before we move into this that pertains to searching, resume writing, your profile, things like that?
There's a question that can wait till the very end. I don't think there's any questions about the topics you've already covered, Rudy. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Awesome. So let's talk about these job announcements, okay? And I'm going to show you there's 3 hidden Easter eggs in here. and I'm going to point them all out. Now, this is for a GS position. Our wage grade, the blue collars, are a little bit different, but I'm going to go into a live version and I'm going to show you what to look for. Okay, I'm just going to go through our templates so that way you can get a better understanding. So we all use the same template. We just plug in our own information into different areas. So on the top left-hand side, you're always going to see the job title along with the agency that posted the position. Right below that, you're going to see the open and closing date. Remember, you have a better shot at jobs that are open for 3 to 15 days. Those are what we call our permanent competitive positions. You have a better shot at applying for those than any other positions. Okay? We usually open them up 3 to 15 days. The pay scale right here. See how it says GS7, 11? This is what we call a career ladder position. You want to look for these kinds of positions, okay? Because these are quick promotion positions. So if I start out at the GS7, at my 1-year anniversary, they're going to promote me to a GS9. On my 2-year anniversary, I'm going to get promoted to a GS11, okay? Let's say this was just a GS7 position, okay? Start out at the GS7, step 1. On your 1-year anniversary, you're going to get a GS7 step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, okay? All the way up to step 10. 20 years just flew by and you never got promoted above that GS7, okay? Be careful, look for positions. Again, interview them. Is there room for me to grow in this organization? Is there GS9, 10s, 11s, 12s? Later on, can I apply for those? Okay. So what I want you to keep in mind about the GS system, okay? GS system is your white collar workers. You have to be 1 year on probation and 1 year in that grade level before you can move to the next grade level in sequence. You can't skip from a GS7 to a GS11. You have to go in sequence. Accounting is what we call a two series family. HR is 2 series family. So that's why it skipped from the GS7 to the GS9. Many of the other ones, electronics technicians, engineer technicians, things like that, it's going to go GS7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you have to go in sequence. Even when it comes to applying, if you've been a GS7 for 2 years, you can't apply for the GS7. You have to apply for the GS8 or for the GS9, whatever's in sequence. Blue collar, wage grade, day 1, you're considered a current permanent federal employee. There's no probationary period. Benefits start on the very first day. And if I start out as a wage grade 3, next week I see a wage grade 5 or a wage grade 8, I can apply for it and be considered for that wage grade 8, wage grade 10. Doesn't matter. You can skip. Okay. So that's the difference between blue collar and white collar. Now, if you go into the blue collar field, it is very difficult to transfer from the blue collar into the white collar. Okay. They don't match. Okay. One is hands-on. Again, white collar is probably sitting in an office, typing away stuff. They assume. So OPM assumed that, hey, that mechanic can transfer over into a GS position. Why not? He doesn't fill out the forms with his wrenches. He actually uses a pen or uses a computer, right? So that's a challenge that we're fighting right now with OPM. If you do take a wage grade job, when you go back onto USAJobs, you're going to notice up here in the job title, in parentheses, it says bridge. That means that it's a bridge program where we're trying to get the blue collar workers into the white collar field. It's going to be the only way, unless you quit that wage grade job, come and apply as a GS position is the only way that you're going to be able to get back into the white collar field. Okay. So again, pay scales. Some of the other federal agencies like to use FV or GG. It's still a white collar. The only ones that are not white collar are the ones that begin with the WG, the wage grade. Okay. Salary is based on locality. So yes, we give you a base pay, but depending on where you live in the U.S., you're going to get an extra pay for locality pay. Okay. So this is a GS7 step 1 to a GS11 step 10 up here in the Northwest. Okay. We're kind of the 4th highest paid federal employees. That's what they stay up here though. Okay. Work is full-time, permanent. right below this, when we go into the actual live job announcement, right below this section, you're going to see it gives you telework. So yeah, we have lots of positions that you can work from home, and you'll be able to identify if that's a work from home or not. Now, on the right-hand side, the little icons. Who is this job open to? Only current federal employees, veterans, and male spouses can apply for this position. If you are a regular U.S. citizen and you try to apply, as soon as you submit your application, USAJobs is going to send you the code IAOC. You are outside of the area of consideration. You're not eligible to apply. Okay? Eligibility versus qualifications is two different animals. Okay? So even though we gave you the icons, when you scroll a little bit further down on our job announcement, we're also going to give it to you in verbiage. Okay, so you're going to see it also listed in verbiage, so that way you understand who is this position really open to. Now, we talked about this at the beginning of the class. Your very first stop on our job announcements to make sure that, hey, is this job for you, yes or no, is to stop at the duties and responsibilities section. Look at the duties and responsibilities. Do not copy and paste any of this into your resume. This is not what we're looking for. Though this is golden nugget number one on our job announcements, you can use some of this information to embed into your resume, because there is some verbiage in here that's going to help you target or align your resume for the position. Okay, just don't copy and paste directly from anything from the job announcement. As soon as we notice that you copied something directly from here, we're just going to code you out with the code IUJR. We notice that you copied from the announcement. Try again next time. Now, under the qualifications heading on the job announcements, you're going to see what we call the specialized experience statement. Okay. Now, some agencies in the Department of the Navy were actually taught to bold the statement, so it's really going to stand out. Some of them are going to break it down for you in bullets. Some of you are going to give it to you italicized. Some of them are going to give it to you just in plain language. Very hard to see. Okay, so just remember, under the qualifications heading, you're going to see the specialized experience. This is what we're looking for in your resume. Did you explain these duties? Or did you explain your current duties, and how do they align with these duties? Okay. Remember when I showed you a couple of minutes ago, we went into ONET Online and we were pulling down the tasks that an accountant does? I can guarantee you, if you go look at those tasks, you covered most, if not all, this information already in your resume. You're just going to have to go in there and tweak it to make it your own. Okay. But if you go look, most of this information, you already pulled it down from ONET Online if you're an accountant. Okay. You just have to go in there and do a little bit of wordsmithing, make the bullet comments your own. Boom, you're covered. Now you can get through the recruiter. This is what the recruiter is going to be looking for. Did you explain this information in your resume? So let's break it down. Let's look at the GS7. The GS7 is assisting in performing accounting work that includes the maintenance of accounting records, the preparation, analysis, and interpretation of financial statements. That's bullet number one. How did you do the job? Why did you do the job? What were the results of you doing that portion of the job? Bullet number two, review accounting data for the accuracy to ensure the integrity of the accounting system. Again, how, why, what, results. Last bullet, monitor financial logs to identify errors or trends. Again, how, what. See why your federal resume is a little bit more extensive and detailed versus just bullets. Okay, you need to explain to me how, why, what were the results of you doing your job, and then any accomplishments down at the bottom. As you can see for the GS7, it allows you to use education as a substitution. Okay. Now, at the very bottom of our job announcement, under the heading, how to apply, okay, you need to open this up. Folks, you're only going to see this link, okay, the assessment questionnaires for jobs that are open for 3 to 15 days. Okay, the jobs that are open for 6 months to a year, you're not going to see this kind of link on there. We're not going to give you an assessment. We're hoping that you're going to apply based on education, the lowest level, so we can bring you and train you up. Okay, jobs that are open for 3 to 15 days, your second stop or your third stop should be right here. Okay, before you even apply. You want to open up the questionnaire and look at the actual assessment questions and see if there's anything missing from your resume when you bounce the questions off the assessment. Okay. So let's go in here. We're going to go to a live version of USAJobs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up an actual job announcement that's posted right now so you can actually see everything that I just showed you via the PowerPoint. So do we have any questions in the meantime?
No, Rudy, this is great. Such a good wealth of information. I think people are just soaking it up.
I'm sorry that, if I'm going too fast. We're at 9:40 already. So look what's going to happen when I go to search because of, it didn't do it. Well, it's going to do it after so I'm going to go to San Antonio this time. I'm going to do San Antonio, Texas. And when I click search because I'm logged in, look at what the system is going to do. So I'm going to have to actually back out again. But look, because I have in my profile open to the public all this other information, the system automatically matched 892 jobs for me, okay, that I can go in there and take a look. Now, I'm going to remove all filters, go back to the main location, and then retype in San Antonio. So that way, it'll only show me the San Antonio jobs. Okay. And I'm going to sort by open date. And it should float all the jobs that are actually open today up to the top. So we're going to see if we can find one. So here's a GS9 budget analyst with Lackland Air Force Base. And I want to show you one that actually includes where you can substitute education, okay? Because I want you to actually see the job announcement where this is embedded. So we're going to open it up, okay? Budget analyst posted by Department of the Air Force. They gave you 6 days to apply. GS9 permanent competitive service, GS9 step 1 to GS9 step 10 on the pay scale. Can I negotiate my salary with the federal government? I think I asked this question before. And you don't have to answer, but yes, you can. Okay, you can negotiate step increases. So the time to negotiate is as soon as you get an email with a tentative job offer. If you're going to apply, I'm going to scroll down to the qualifications, the specialized experience, and there it is. Look, they actually gave it to you in plain language. Okay, it looks like, they just gave it to you in plain language. Look at the or education for the GS9 graduate degree or 2 full years of progressively higher level graduate, okay, or a combination of experience and education. If you're going to apply based on a combination of experience and education, let's go back up here to the salary, okay? If you're going to apply based on a combination of work experience and education, folks, you want to ask, okay, as soon as we send you the tentative job offer, we've interviewed you, we love you, we're going to make you a tentative job offer. As soon as you get that tentative job offer via email, you want to ask for superior qualifications, okay? It's going to be up to you. It's going to be up to HR. They might ask you, why are you asking for superior qualifications? Well, number one, I'm applying based on a combination of education and experience. And number two, my employer, my past employer, or the employer that I'm leaving is paying me $65,000 a year, okay? So once you do that, they're going to send it back to the hiring manager. The hiring manager is going to review the documentation, and they're going to come back and like, you know what? He does meet superior qualifications. Let's bring him in at a GS9 step 4, okay? Don't ask for the moon. Believe me, I see a lot of people with the VA saying, I want a GS9 step 10. I want a GS12 step 10 after they've made the offer. Guess what? I got 3 other people in line who are going to take the GS9 step 1, Mr. Hiring Manager. Because remember, I, as an HR specialist, I'm an advisor to the hiring manager, okay? Great. You want to get the GS9 step 10, you probably want to go look at somebody else because our budget is set for this, GS9 step 2, step 3. So we're going to come back and make you a job offer, more than likely not above the step 5, but at least you're going to get a step increase, okay? So Be aware of that. Anytime you apply based on a combination, always ask for superior qualifications. So this is at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. No relocation expenses are reimbursed, okay? But instead of maybe asking for superior qualifications, you could ask for a PCS move or a relocation bonus. Yes, you can do that too. Telework eligible? No, this does not have telework eligibility. Okay, and remember I told you, even though we gave you the little icons, we're also going to give it to you in verbiage. And there's the announcement number. And then here's the duties and responsibilities. Okay. So you can use some of this verbiage to help build your resume or target your resume. And then we're going to go down to the qualification statement again. Specialized experience statement. Applicants must have at least 1 year of specialized experience at the next lower grade. Folks, don't panic. That's verbiage for federal employees, okay? Or equivalent in other pay systems. We don't care where you gain the experience. It could be the regular civilian sector. It could be in the military. It doesn't matter. This is just the template verbiage, okay? What you really want to is where it talks about examples of specialized experience include. This is what you need to be worried about. So you need to break this statement down and then tell us about it in your resume. Okay. Now I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom again. Okay. Look at the KSAs. These are the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed to do this job. Guess what? We're giving you that information in the assessment questions. The assessment questions are going to revolve around the specialized experience statement and the KSAs. So we're going to go down here to where it says how to apply. We're going to click read more, and there's the link to the questionnaire. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click it. We're going to open it up. The top portion of the questions is the eligibility portion. Okay, how are you applying for the job? Are you applying as a veteran, regular civilian, yada, yada, yada? You know, this is where you actually get to answer the question, mil spouse, or things like that. Okay. I'm going to scroll all the way down to where it says Assessment 1. Boom, there it is. We actually saw this statement right here. Here's the specialized experience statement. You saw it on the job announcement under qualifications head. Boom, there it is. Okay. There's that statement again. Now, this gave you an A, B, C, or D answer option. Okay, usually it's only an A or B. Either you have it or you don't have it. But because this is allowing you to apply based on education or a combination of education, that's why they gave you the C and D option too. Okay. If at any time you go to the job announcement and you don't see the specialized experience here under the qualification heading, go open up the assessment questionnaire. You're always going to see it on question number 1. And that's going to help you target your resume and figure out, okay, what are they looking for? Boom, here it is. Now, here's the really cool thing. Before you submit, before you make any changes to your resume, I would suggest copy and paste the assessment questions onto a Word document and lay them right next to your resume, okay? So look at question number 2. Prepare and justify the budget for assigned program areas. Alpha 0 points, Bravo 2, Charlie 4, Delta 6, Echo 8. If you talked about this in your resume, yeah, that's part of my job. I prepare budgets and then I have to justify them for all these individual programs. Cool. I get to grade myself Echo. Let's say you can grade yourself Echo because you've done that job, but the information is not in your resume. Now what do? Well, all you have to do is take that question or bullet statement, flip it. Part of my job while working for Group Health was to prepare the budget for assigned programs and then have to justify it. Okay. See how quickly I just turned that into a statement that I can add into my resume? Folks, what I'm trying to get you to understand is all these questions were taken directly off the position description. As an HR specialist, these are the questions that I sent the hiring manager in order to see if I can get him a pool of best qualified candidates. So as an HR specialist, I am not looking for the piece to the puzzle. I'm looking for a pool of candidates that I can send to the hiring manager and then I can let the hiring manager find their piece to their individual puzzle. Okay. Our job is to gather as many resumes as we can, best qualified, that we can send to the hiring managers, and then they can do the interviews. They're going to choose 3 or 4 candidates as far as making job offers. Okay. So if you don't accept it, we always have somebody next in line. If that second person in line can't pass security clearance, we have a third one. If the third one, hey, sorry, I took another job, I couldn't wait 6 months, we're going to move to the fourth one and to the fifth. So we always advise our hiring managers pick 3 to 5 candidates that they actually want to make job offers to, so that way we can go in sequence. If the first one doesn't take it, we can move all the way to the number 5. Okay. If at any time we miss you, okay, because sometimes we will be reviewing anywhere from 200, 500, 1,000 resumes. If at any time you feel that we missed you, we're either going to give you an email or a phone number down here so you can actually challenge us. And it's okay. After reading 300 resumes, the lines are going to get blurred. I might have not gone all the way down to your resume and saw that you have the specialized experience way down there on your 10th job. Feel free to call us out, folks. That's why we give you our information here. The Department of Navy, we actually have a call center down in San Diego. Your information will go down to San Diego. Make sure you have the correct announcement number. Okay. Send an email to that, and within 3 days, we're supposed to send you an email back to let you know. If I missed you, I will call the hiring manager and say, hey, hiring manager, we missed somebody. I need to add somebody to the search. You will notice when you go back into your profile, your status changed from not referred to referred, if we did find the information that you meet the qualifications for the job. Okay, so before I take off from here, okay, I'm still going to be in USAJobs. Before I take off, I want to let me see. I'm going to go into Austin because I want to show you the difference of the GS versus the wage grade position. There's one thing missing on the wage grade announcements that you're going to notice right away. The wage grade announcements do not have a specialized experience statement. They have what we call a screen out element. And usually the screen out element is not being able to do the job without more than normal supervision. Let's see if we can find a good wage grade job here. So any questions while we're looking through this, Karen?
Not right now. I think this is a great thing to be able to see, though. All these.
I didn't put anybody to sleep. Right?
No, I think everybody is soaking it up because there's so much possibility here and so much to learn about how to work with this system.
Yes. And again, just because you get referred once, audience, just because you get referred doesn't mean that you have to stop applying. Like I said, we get, for jobs that are open for 3 days. So every year, our shipyard posts 500 positions for the helper program. And that's wage grade 1 through wage grade 3, pipe fitters, welders, things like that, all wage grade blue collar jobs. It doesn't matter. We're going to get over 5,000 resumes in those 3 days. So again, we only have 500 positions, and out of those 3,000 to 5,000 resumes that we receive, we might interview anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 people just for those 500 positions. So again, we review a lot of resumes on our side of the house that sometimes the lines do get blurred.
Yeah.
So let's see. Where am I? You know what? Let me try San Antonio. I don't think there's a lot of wage grade jobs in Austin. Though we do have, I think Army Futures Command is actually moving to Austin. They should have. I saw that they were hiring folks already.
Huh. That would be good to be able to identify those positions.
So this is a wage grade leader 6. Okay, so this is actually probably somebody up at the higher echelons. So we have wage grade, we have wage grade leader, and then wage grade supervisor. It goes all the way up to the WS. So those guys, you're getting paid, you know, $40, $45 an hour.
Yeah, there's a very wide range of positions.
Yeah, and again, so instructional system specialist, you know, what does that mean? You know, so you actually have to go in there and look at those, open them up and look at those. So we're going to look at this wage grade 9 plumber position. There's one right below that, maintenance mechanic 2. And I just wanted to give you just a real quick sample of what the wage grade positions look like. So again, job title, top left-hand corner, who posted the position, open and closing dates. Again, they're going to be the same thing, 3 to 15 days, salary per year, and then salary per hour. Usually on the wage grade, you're definitely going to see the per hour on the pay scale. Full-time permanent position. This is at Lackland. No telework. You have to actually come to work every day. The responsibility section, folks. Under the wage grade, the responsibility section is definitely a must to use to help target your resume, because look, when we go down to the qualifications heading, there's no actual specialized experience statement. They're just giving you the work conditions. Look, the job elements, you will be evaluated on the basis of your knowledge, skills, and abilities or competencies in the following areas. Boom, 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 boom. So if we go all the way down to how to apply, and we look at the questionnaire, again, the questionnaire is going to help you fill in a lot of gaps on your job descriptions. Okay. So again, look at what they did at question number 1. They gave you the full meal deal. And then question 2, 3, all the other ones revolve around the actual job. So there's a lot of information in the assessment that you can use to help target your resume specifically for our job openings. All right, real quick in closing out. Oh, sorry. So again, this is what the Department of the Navy, we have an operations center in Philadelphia, Silverdale, Washington, San Diego, Norfolk, and then Stennis, Mississippi. And this is who they support. So if you're looking for HR jobs, this is a great place to start, because you're going to get trained as an HR specialist from the ground up, GS7 on up, and everything that an HR specialist does in the federal government. So just real quick, I want to cover this. If you apply online, because I know we had a question on it, if you apply online, 110, 120 days, if your security clearance goes good, okay, you'll be in that seat working. If we use a direct hire, which means you are a wounded warrior or an individual with disabilities where you don't apply online, usually 45 to 50 days, you'll be in that seat working. Okay. Karen, that is my presentation.
I tell you what, Rudy, you're just a wealth of information, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate you being with us today. Thank you so much. Folks, everyone, if you would, there's going to be a survey that will come up. Go ahead and fill out that survey for us. It'll just take a moment. And if anybody has any questions about, about the webinar or anything, then you can email us, and Leslie will drop that email address in for you. Everyone have a great rest of your day. Rudy, thank you so much. It just really very helpful information.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And if you don't mind, you're more than welcome to pass out my LinkedIn and email if anybody has any specific questions. If people want resume reviews, Be prepared. I am very upfront and honest. If your resume is out in left field, if it's boring, I am going to let you know. If you have a job announcement that you would like for me to bounce your resume off of, send me the link to the job announcement from the browser. Don't send me the job announcement number, but send me the link to the job announcement. I will bounce your resume off that job announcement and let you know if you are on the right track or out in left field. I'm more than happy to do that.
Very generous offer, Rudy. Thank you so much. And that's, everybody is chatting and saying thank you so much. It's like we all very much appreciate your time today and sharing your wealth of information.
Thank you. Yeah, whatever I can do to help. I appreciate you having me on board, and whatever I can do for your customers, please let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you all so much for being here. And Rudy, thanks for spending your time with us this morning. Okay.
Yeah, let me know if you want to do another one.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm ready. All right.
Okay.
Take care.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
We're going to close out now.